Hi, Mark Jamin here, Medical Director for the Haywood County Health Department, and let's talk about this pandemic. First off, thanks to each of you for following the public health recommendations. And if you've chosen not to, well, it's never too late. The main thing right now is to isolate if and as soon as you get sick. It gives us the best opportunity to trace, test, and contain, and it's the best way for you to protect health and the economy. And if you get tested, please honor the quarantine until results are back. So in parts 1 through 3, we covered the steps individuals, businesses, and the hospitality and tourist industry can adopt to open safely and profitably. In part 4, now that you know what to do, let's talk about some other points to consider as you decide how to do that in your place. So when it comes to distancing, the current guidelines define a high contact as 6 feet, within 6 feet, for more than 15 minutes. But remember, the more enclosed the space, the greater the risk. A smaller space concentrates the viral load in the area, and viral load is the biggest determinant of exposure and risk. The current guidelines also call for no more than 50% occupancy defined by the fire marshal standards. But if your place of business is small, it may not allow for even effective distancing, so just be aware. Regular breathing is not believed to expel virus more than 6 feet. But we know sneezing and coughing expel potentially larger amounts of virus over longer distances, much greater than 6 feet. Speaking loudly and assertively does too, and singing has been shown to spread virus widely. In these instances, the 6-foot guideline may not be enough. You may have to be further apart or for a shorter time. By the way, this is how a mask helps reduce exposure. Second, when expelled into the air, big droplets that contain virus fall quickly to the ground and dissipate. But smaller aerosols go further and hang around longer. The space you're about to walk through could have been contaminated before you got there. And by the way, this is how a mask helps reduce your exposure. What about surfaces a person cannot avoid touching in your place of business, like a doorknob to enter, or when paying or checking out? The main source of outbreaks across the country have involved groups of people in close proximity. Meatpacking plants, long-term care facilities, restaurants, funerals, choir practices. And here in western North Carolina, we've seen it with a construction site. A small group outside in open spaces honoring the 6-foot distancing is less risky, especially if there is some wind. But make that a large gathering with people not paying close attention to their distancing, and you may find yourself in a high-risk environment, even outside. So here is an exercise that might help. Trace the steps that just one person coming into your place of business would take. Note where those actions prevent following the recommendations and these considerations. Adapt your plans to deal with this. The Reopening Survival Guide Parts 1 through 4 are all part of the routine we must adopt in order to dance safely and profitably into the future. And as we get closer to further reopening stages, we'll add more segments to this guide specific to those steps. But for now, let's pause and let's get in place those measures we need right now. So for more detail, see the CDC guidance. And the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has put out this checklist. Also look for a checklist from the Haywood County Department of Health and Human Services. And here's the call center number to get your questions answered. So these are a good place to start as you work to put your plans in place. So be well, stay emotionally connected, and physically distant.